book friends, it's Jenny at Julia Baby Jen's Reading Room, and today I am talking about my recent reads. So I'm back on my channel and I'm so excited to finally be back. I am doing a series of videos from May 1st to May 5th celebrating my birthday on Cinco de Mayo. On May 5th. So check out the channel every day to check on all those videos. So today I'm going to be talking about some books that I read recently. I've decided against doing a monthly wrap-up just because I read so many books. It feels like it's just so many to talk about at once. So I'm going to kind of divide it up and just talk about books I've read, like in every 1 or 2 weeks I'll be doing one of these. So I have 9 books to talk about today and I loved all of them, so that's pretty awesome. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Cogman. This is a pretty new release. I got it from the library, so I don't have it anymore, but the title will be up here, or the cover will be up here, excuse me. And I really enjoyed this. So this was kind of a combination of magic, very like old feeling kind of magic with Norse mythology, and it was so fun to read. Basically, the main character in this, the witch, she is older than time, and she was working with the Norse gods. She had learned how to see beyond the future and the realm and could see everything and could tap into that vast knowledge. Anyway, she taught some of the leaders how to do that, but she didn't teach them the furthest away they could go because it was kind of thing that could imbalance the universe. So she didn't trust them to have that knowledge. And then she sold some of the knowledge to their enemies, and it started a war between them because they were fighting over her, basically. And eventually she was burned at the stake for not giving them all the information they wanted. But she survived it because she's this amazing being that is beyond time, and basically, but she doesn't really remember it that well. She's kind of lost her current life, so she goes off into the woods, into this faraway place where she's isolated herself, and Loki actually finds her, and he found her heart at the burning site, and he brought it to her, and so she stitches it back into her chest. And so this is kind of their story. So it's basically her story of kind of relearning, remembering things, and then Loki, and they kind of fall in love. And it's basically their story. He's hidden her, no one knows she's there, but you know it's going to last forever. So it's just a really interesting story. I loved the Norse mythology woven within it, and it felt like a very old fairy tale vibe to it. And I just really love this. I gave it 4 stars. Good read. Next, I'm going to talk about The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So this was a book of the month selection, and I was so excited because I had this on my radar. This is a historical fiction, kind of a mystery actually, and it takes place in like current day and then going back to 1800s London. And it's about this apothecary who actually was a secret apothecary, and she would sell poisons to women who needed to poison people for whatever reason. Usually it was poisoning like their husband or father or something like that because they were being nefarious, and she was helping them get out of their misery. So it was a very secret apothecary, only talked about by word of mouth. And she was kind of hidden like between these walls. She had her shop set up. It was really hard to find it. You had to know where to go. So she's operating and doing all this. And then the current day is a woman who is in London, supposed to be an anniversary trip, but she found out her husband's been cheating on her. So she goes by herself to get some space from him. And while she's there, she doesn't know what to do. She's heartbroken. She finds these people who are going down to the Thames River and are going to, I forget what they call it. They kind of look through the mud there for old artifacts and stuff. I guess it's something you actually do there. So she goes and does that, and she finds one of the little vials that's from this apothecary. So she starts researching it to find out what's going on. So the story flips back and forth between the apothecary in the old times and then her now and what she's learning. So you're kind of learning as the main character in this is learning. And it was so interesting. I love the dual timelines. It really kind of gave that, just gave a good perspective to the whole story and really made that mystery come alive. And it was really entertaining. I flew through it, loved it. 4 stars. Next is The Ira Raven by Julie Kagala. This is a new book in the Iron Fae saga, I guess. So this is a new series called Evenfall. You will have wanted to have read the first 2 series before you read this, because it picks up where the other 2 left off. I loved those series when they came out. I really enjoyed them. No One Tells. The Iron Fae stories are so great. She does such a good job with them. But this, the main character is Falling Puck, who is one of my favorite characters from both series. So I was so excited we get a story from his point of view. Can't really tell you a lot about what it's about without giving away spoilers for the other 2 series, but basically it's following Robin Goodfellow, or Puck, and trying to save the Iron Fae from disaster yet again, like they're always doing. And he's working with Megan and Ash and all the old gang to do it. So it's a really fun read. I love this world. I love this series. I love this character. It was great having him as a main character and getting into his head. But yeah, really enjoyed it. 4 stars. Next I have Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in this series. This is the Cassidy Blake series. It's a middle grade paranormal mystery. And basically the main character, Cassidy, can see ghosts. She had a near-death experience, and now she can cross over the veil and see all the ghosts, and she can see them in her side of the veil as well. And her best friend is Jacob, who is a ghost. And her parents are historians and study hauntings and things like that. And they've developed this TV show, like kind of a reality TV show, where they're going around to different cities and exploring the hauntings and that kind of thing. So in this one, they're in the catacombs of Paris, and she accidentally awakens a poltergeist. And it starts to make all kinds of havoc in Paris, and she has to stop it, but she doesn't know how. So that's basically the central conflict on this one. This was even better than the first one. I really enjoyed it. So cute. This is such a great series. I read it in one sitting, fly right through these, but they are very creepy and fun. 4 stars. Next I have In a Book Club Far Away by Tiff Marcello, another Book of the Month selection. So this one is a contemporary fiction. And this is about 3 women who were best friends. They're all connected to the army in some way. All 3 of them have spouses who serve, and they're living on the base together. And one of them actually serves in the army as well for a short time. But the 3 of them meet, and they form a book club together, and they become best friends until one day they have this huge fight that splits them all apart, and they go their separate ways. 10 years later, the one girl, I think Adelaide, they had made a pact before they had their fight that anytime any of them needed an SOS, they could call for help, and the other 2 would show up, no questions asked. So if they ever needed help or were in trouble, they would send out a text for an SOS, and they would come over. Well, Adelaide, her husband is overseas, being deported, and she's on the base by herself with a small 4-year-old daughter, and she needs to have her gallbladder taken out, and she doesn't have anybody to come and stay with her, help her through it, help her daughter. So she sends an SOS to the other 2 ladies, Regina and Sophie, who have been in contact with Adelaide this entire time, but not with each other. And she doesn't tell each other that they're both coming, because she's hoping that they can finally mend their fight and all be friends again. But they get all mad, of course, when they show up to find out that she was kind of playing with the SOS a little bit, but they end up staying to help her. And it's basically their story, these 3 found sisters, and it flips back and forth between what happened 10 years ago and how this fight happened and what it's all about to current day, and hopefully them mending their fences. So while I was reading this, it was an enjoyable story. It wasn't like anything groundbreaking. I was reading through, I was like, oh yeah, this is entertaining, but it wasn't like I needed to flip the pages. I didn't connect to anybody. I was thinking most of the way through this book, this was a 3-star read. It's just okay. I'm enjoying it. It's fine. But I don't know how the author did it, but at some point through this book, I like connected with these characters. And by the end, I was sobbing. I was crying. And I'm like, okay, well, any book that makes me cry has to have at least 4 stars. So by the end, I really enjoyed it. It went, I don't know where it went from the 3 to 4 star, but it was towards the end. And the ending was fantastic. So 4-star read, I really enjoyed it. It's one of those books that I feel like really pays off to read all the way through. So if you're just thinking, oh, it's okay, I'm liking this, but it's not great, and you want to put it down, I suggest finishing it because it has a good payoff for that. The next book I have to talk about is As Kismet Would Have It by Sanja Menon. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I'm not great with pronunciation. This is actually a novella that's on my Kindle, so the picture will be up here. This follows Dimple and Rishi after the events of when Dimple met Rishi. Kind of gives you more of their happy ever after the fact. So it's just a fun little novella, great story by them. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. Next book I have to talk about is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. This was an audiobook I listened to on Audible, so I'll have the cover up here. I had heard great things about this book for a long time, so I finally decided to listen to it, and I just adored it. So if you haven't been anywhere, don't know what this book is about, this takes place in London, and it's basically this guy who wants to have a little extra money. He needs some more money for his flat. He has a flat with a single bed, but he is a nurse, so he works weird hours, and his apartment is completely empty on the overnight from like 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, or maybe it's 7, something like that. And then on the weekends, he's usually working, so he's usually gone on the weekends. So his girlfriend helps him set up a flat share deal where someone could come and rent his flat share really cheap. They would have the flat from those hours when he's not there, and then he would have them the other hours. So they would share the flat, share the bed, but they would never be there at the same time, is basically the idea here. So it's Leon, and his girlfriend finds this girl, Tiffy, who's just gotten out of a really bad breakup, and she wants to get out of her apartment, wants to try something new, doesn't have a lot of money, and this is the right ticket. So they come up with this arrangement. His girlfriend won't let them actually meet. She doesn't think that's a good idea since it's a girl. So she does all the arranging for them, and they never meet. But what ends up happening is they start leaving each other Post-it notes with little notes like, there's leftover this in the fridge for you, or whatever. Pretty soon they start developing a relationship through these Post-it notes, and before long they know so much about each other in their lives. And the story goes from there. I bet you can guess what happens. It's romance. But it was really good. I was like, the audio was great. I was flying through it. It was such a great book. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Next I have There's Something About Sweetie by Sanja Menon. This is the second book in the When Dimple Met Rishi series. So after I finished that book and finished the novella, I'm like, I'm going right back in. So I got the second book from the library, and I love this one even more. This was so cute. So this follows Ashish, who is Rishi's brother, the goof-off brother, as he's kind of known, more the playboy, and Sweetie, who is an overweight girl, and her mom's always making her feel really bad for that. So they're both, so Ashish has basically gotten out of this bad breakup with this girl, and he doesn't know how to get over her. And he finally decides to let his parents finally pick out a girl for him like they did for Rishi. It worked out so good with Rishi and Dimple. So his mom picks Sweetie, but Sweetie's mom won't allow them to date because she doesn't think that Ashish and Sweetie would be compatible, because Sweetie basically is fat and ugly, and Ashish is hot and this big jock. The mom didn't say it like that, but that's basically what she meant. It was very hurtful to Sweetie, and Sweetie is trying to come into her own right about now. The thing that really sucks for Sweetie is that she is a star track athlete. She is the best in her school. She's probably going to get a scholarship. She is fast, as a great runner. but her mom can't see that. All she can see is her weight. So obviously, Sweetie is perfectly healthy because she can run and run and run and run. She's just a little chubby, but her mom can't see that. So Sweetie wants to come into her own and is tired of her mom ruling her life like this. So she wants to date Ashes secretly for a month. And Ash's parents go for it. They say, as long as you go on the dates that we sanction for you, that's fine. So they go on 4 dates that his parents decide. One of them's to like their church, one's to an old family friend. They're very like, no, nothing can go on during. They're pretty well chaperoned and all this at all these dates. And basically, you can guess they kind of fall for each other. So, but it's more about really about Sweetie coming into her own and Ashes learning what he wants in life as well. So I just loved it. It was so cute, so sweet. I flew through it. I also loved the picture on the back that has them running on the track together. So cute. I love this book so much. I give it 5 stars. Just adored it. And the last book I have to talk about today is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. I was so excited to read this. This is one of those books that everybody was talking about coming out this year, and my library had it. It was a group read in my favorite book group, so I'm like, I am going to read this, and I loved it. I flew through this book. It is fantastic. So this is YA fantasy. Basically, it follows this fictional land where it's kind of little like old-fashioned as far as the world goes. So it's like, you know, tribal villages kind of a world. And the main character, Decca, lives in a small village that's way far away from anything else. Basically, the girls, when they turn 16, have this ceremony to decide whether they're impure or pure. So religion is very heavily based in the society. And if you're impure, when you bleed, you'll bleed gold. As opposed to, if you're pure, you bleed regular red. So the girls are taught, they're like kept away from knives, they're not supposed to hurt themselves because they have to wait till the ceremony when they're 16. And if they're pure, then they can be married and then move into society. If they're impure, they're basically, they have a fate worse than death, basically. They're a type of creature called an alakai, and they can't die a very traditional death. You have to kill them a certain way, and each one of them has a certain way they would die. And usually it's either by drowning, burning, or decapitation. One of those 3 methods will finally kill them. They call that their final death. Otherwise, anything else that you do to them, they will heal and go on. So, of course, Decca bleeds gold, and she thinks that she's going to live this terrible life when a woman comes and rescues her basically from a village and says that they're putting together an army and she can join this army if she wants in the capital. So she goes with, and that's where the adventure starts, and she learns all about there's so much politics and war, and these creatures are fighting called the Death Shrieks, and it's just insanely crazy. It was just an awesome ride from beginning to end. The characters were great. The world was so unique and inventive. I love the ending. I love just about everything about this. It lost a little bit with me because sometimes it felt a little too easy at times, although it was very brutal. There are some things that happened that were just a little too easy. So I did knock it down a little bit. I gave it 4.5 stars, but I really enjoyed it and highly recommend this. And so that's all the books I've read recently. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these and what you thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked this video. And I hope your cup is always full, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.